Hi friends! So I'm going to be showing you how I made my Nami cosplay. This is the whole cake Nami and she's very cute with her little red outfit. Oh! And also two versions because I didn't like how the dress came out the first time, so because I'm annoying I had to remake it. So the first piece that I made was the undershirt, which was made from a pattern that I got on Etsy, which I will link. It's just a cottagecore top by Clueless Patterns, and I modified it for this project. And I used a soft, comfy linen fabric for this. I did modify the sleeves a little bit so that they are bigger, and then that does give them some extra poof. We love extra poof. I rolled the top of the shirt to hem it, and I also made it wide enough so I could thread a string through it to cinch up the shoulders, and I just used a safety pin to help guide the thread through. Here I am sewing a long tube made from the linen fabric, which I will turn right side out after I sew it, and this will be the ruffle along the sleeves and the neckline, and then I hand sewed them on. Why am I ending every sentence in a question? For the dress, I used this pattern that I also got off of Etsy. It's from a bundle of dress patterns made by Cosplay with Merida that I will link below. I did edit the pattern quite a bit to make it look similar to her dress, so I made a mock-up out of a similar weight fabric, and then I put the mock-up onto the official red fabric. For like the mock-up, I essentially just lopped off the top of the dress since she has like an underbust type dress, and then I added the straps. I sewed the front panel of the dress to the side panels, and then I sewed that to the back, and I just made sure to press the seams. The straps are like 2.5-inch tubes that I sewed, and then I turned them right side out, and then I pressed so that they lay nice and flat. I crossed them in the back, and then I put them on either side of a boob, and then I sewed them down. For the bow, I took a rectangle, doubled it up, folded it and sewed it, and then I folded it and sewed it again. And then I realized I did it wrong, so I seam ripped it apart and I did it again, but this time I folded it hot dog style / the long way.
Peanut butter jelly the long way. Peanut butter jelly the long way.
And I sewed it again. Then I folded it one more time to sew it shut. This makes like a big circle thing, and then when you like crimp the middle of it, it's like, ooh, you got a bow. You got a bow, bitch. Look at it. Oh my god. So I made this like middle part for the bow, and it's just a small tube that I turn right side out. Get out of here, little fly. No one wants you. For the bow legs, I draft up these long legs that get wider at the bottom. I cut them out of a single piece of fabric, and I finish the edges by zigzag stitching them. I pin the bow and the legs to the dress, and then I just sew it on. For the X's in the middle of her dress, I used a fabric punch to punch out some of the holes so that I laced some gold rope through them. Since this is a stretch fabric, I can't install metal grommets because they'll just come out. For the log pose, I found a 3D print file, which I will link below, and I printed it out, sanded it, and primed it with filler primer. I painted it a light brown, and I used a skinny little brush with a darker brown paint to create wood grain. The compass pointers got painted half white and half red. For the bracelet part, I actually found this textured pleather in my collection that's supposed to be used for another project whenever I get around to it. But I just cut it out, put it through the pose, hole punched it, and installed eyelets. And then I just tie it to make it stay on my wrist. I used super glue and sewing pins that I cut to size, and I installed the compass pieces onto the pose. Everything is just carefully sitting in there with magic. The domes are little glass balls that my partner cut in half for me, and I just super glued those on. For her clima tact, I wanted it to come apart for easy travel, so we used 1¼ inch PVC pipe with a coupler to screw and unscrew it. To cover the part that connects it, he wrapped the handle part in 6mm foam, and later I'll attach 3D printed donuts to it. He sanded the PVC pipe so that the paint adheres to it better. For the ends of the PVC pipe, he used plastic egg, and wrapped them in half foam dowels. Here that sounded like I'm saying they're half foam. No, they're foam half dowels. That's what I meant to say. Words are hard. Here he's sanding the 3D printed donuts that I modeled. You don't want to know how long it took me to model these and get them to the correct thickness. I'm still a huge noob to 3D modeling, but I did it. And I do use Blender for modeling. It was difficult. I don't know what I'm doing. And then they get glued onto the handle piece, but there is still a slight gap. So he filled that with foam clay. Once everything dried and he filled in all of the crevasses, he filled it with filler primer and airbrushed it white. He taped off the lines and then spray painted the whole thing with an orange glossy paint. This is the first wig. I actually ended up getting another wig and I changed it so it's not like the straight across bang style. And then also, like I said, I changed the bodice because I didn't really like the dress, but this is how it turned out. I wanted to make a really beautiful steel-boned bodice for this cosplay, so let's make one. So first I made a mock-up. The pattern I used is a cottagecore corset pattern from Lunith on Etsy. Since the mock-up fit without any modifications, I put the pattern pieces directly onto my fabric. I found a shade for shade matching red fabric in a canvas. It's nice and sturdy and it doesn't have any stretch, so it will be perfect for this bodice. I pinned all of the pieces and I cut them out. And then I pressed all of the pieces to de-wrinkle them, and then I pinned them together. Every video, a little bit of Southern just comes out. I don't know why. I'm from California. Where does this Southern come from? I'm doing everything twice since the lining for this bodice is the exact same fabric as the outer fabric. If you are newer to these curved seams or princess seams, just go as slow as possible and fold your fabric onto itself as you pin, if that makes sense. So don't be afraid to fold everything, but then when you go to sew them together, be very careful that you're not sewing folds into the fabric, because I've done that before. But just go very slow, and even though it's a non-stretch fabric, it still has a tiny bit of give, so you are able to stretch it out while you are sewing it, and then it just goes back into its shape, obviously. And I have this handy mini iron for seams. It's super useful, especially for the curved seams. I definitely could have bundled up some fabric to DIY my own little tailor's ham, but it's fine. I measured out the boning. Each seam is getting boned. Next, I pinned the lining to the fabric with right sides together. I leave the bottom part open so that I can install the boning. And I definitely had to have my partner cut the boning for me because it was too strong for my weak little hands. I just found out I'm very low on iron, so my thing is to say that I don't have enough iron for it, and I did not have enough iron for that. Oh no. So back to the bodice, I sewed around where I pinned, leaving the bottom open. Then I turned it right side out and I used a Sharpie to poke everything out. I marked out the boning channels with some pins and pencil so I knew exactly where to sew. And then I carefully delicious. So the boning casings. Normally I make boning casings out of ribbon, but this time I'm sewing the lining to the fabric, which actually makes this reversible as well, and then that makes the boning casings. So it would be cool, super cool if I had design fabric for like the inside of it, like cute little mushrooms or something, but I didn't think about that. So yeah, I really like mushrooms and frogs. Next, I hot glue the ends of the bones so they don't poke through the fabric, because I lost the like little ends that go on them. And then I insert them. All of the spiral boning goes on the curved seams. They've got curved swords, and the flat boning goes on the front where you want a lot of strength to be. Whereas the spiral boning goes on seams that like you need to bend and you want to move and such. Once all the boning is inserted, I turn in the bottom and then I sew it shut. And then I make a little modesty panel. It's just a rectangle piece of fabric. And then I installed the eyelets, and that's really it for the bodice. I love how this turned out because it looks like it's one single dress and it gives me more shape, whereas before I looked like an orange, I guess. And then I just wear the original dress under the bodice, and that's pretty much it. So it's not completely screen accurate, but I feel really cute in it, and I think it just adds a little more pizzazz to the costume. This was a little lesson on feel free to change your cosplays however you want. You can do whatever you want. Put your little creative heart into it. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked it. If you like fun, creative, costuming, whatever videos, and you want to watch more of them as I slowly get back into making videos, then feel free to subscribe. We have fun here, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!